What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys, and we're going to start off with two confirmed official deals. Starting off with the first one, Alfie Devine has joined League One side Port Vale on loan for the remainder of the season, and I for one am very looking forward to seeing what he can produce now, especially being, League One side Port Vale. I'm not sure what they're projected to do this season, but it'll be great to see him playing week in, week out in men's football.
Yeah, I'm super excited about how we can develop playing regular first team football for a competitive League One team. I think it's about time he got a loan move. Obviously, he's very, very highly thought of amongst the club and the youth coaches. He's even gotten some time with the first team. So I'm really excited. I've looked into Port Vale a bit. Obviously, they're ninth in the table at the moment after 4 games, so having won 2 of them. They do play a 3 at the back system. So whether that means he's going to be playing one of the 2 pivots in the central midfield, or whether they see him as maybe a wide player like he was playing under Postecoglou in pre-season. He played a bit wider. So
they play 3-5-2.
3-4-3, sorry.
Oh, 3-4-3.
3-4-3. They got 3 at the back system. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of position he takes up. So that'll be quite telling. But I'm super excited. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye and see how he develops over the course of the season.
Yeah, and another official deal is Troy Parrott has joined Dutch Eredivisie side Excelsior Rotterdam, also on loan for the remainder of the season. And I feel like this is like Troy Parrott's last chance, to be honest, to really impress. And he's going to go to an attacking league. He's going to the which is the Dutch Eredivisie. And I actually think this could be, if he treats it well, this could be a kind of a breakout year for him.
Yeah, it's a really good opportunity to go to a top division league, even though obviously the Dutch league isn't the best. There's still some good teams there. It's not going to be easy for him. It's probably still going to be his hardest test yet, playing in the Dutch first division. And hopefully the fact that it's a bit more attacking league, they like to play their football in Holland usually. I mean, Excelsior Rotterdam, I've looked into them as well. They don't seem to be the best team, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge for him. Although I think they sit in the they sit 6th at the moment in the Eredivisie, but it's very, very early days. I think last season they finished 15th in the Eredivisie, so they're not like the best team. So it might be a bit of a struggle. But if he can excel, no pun the pun, if he can excel in that division,
Excelsior,
that would be telling. I don't think it's an easy, even a player his age, it's not easy by any means. So I think it's a really good opportunity. There was one former Tottenham player who's played for Excelsior Rotterdam. I bet you can come up with it.
Is it Willem Korsten?
It's not Willem Korsten.
Who is it?
Mouni El Hamdoui. Of
course, yeah.
He played for Excelsior Rotterdam. There have been a few players as well. George Boateng's played there. Van Persie came through the ranks at Excelsior Rotterdam as well. So there have been a few notable players. But look, it's not going to be an easy time for him because they're not the best team. But if he can excel in those situations, that'll be very telling.
Yeah, and I think, look, even if they're not the best team in the Eredivisie, to play week in, week out in a top league, he's never had the chance to do that before. And I think even if he's joining a team that are in the lower, notchings of the league in the bottom half, I still think the football that this team are going to try and play, that most teams try and play in the Eredivisie, are free-flowing, attacking football. So it'll be interesting to see if they try play him as the number 1, deploy him out wide, what kind of position he takes up for them. But I, for one, are very excited to see him play. And if he can knuckle down and get, a number of goals in this league, it'd be interesting to see what Tottenham do with him in the summer.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's move on and let's talk about some potential incomings, starting off with Ivan Toney. Tom Ruddy says that Brentford are resigned to losing 80 million rated Ivan Toney after completing his ban. Tottenham are keen on the forward. Sammy Mockbell says that Ivan Toney has signed now with CAA Stella, led by leading agent Jonathan Barnett, to provide clear indication of his intention to leave Brentford. Man United, Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur are among the clubs interested. And people are actually mistaking this CAA Stella for CAA Base on Twitter, where they're 2 completely different entities. One's led by Jonathan Barnett, one is got close ties with Tottenham. So CAA Stella do not have close ties with Tottenham, but Jonathan Barnett has obviously dealt with Tottenham in the past with Gareth Bale, and I think there was another one as well. I can't remember who it was, but it's not CAA based, so they're not the ones. This agency are not the ones with close ties to Tottenham. So I saw a lot of people getting very excited on Twitter about this. But I, for one, again, would be extremely excited if Ivan Toney could join Spurs in January. I think he could be a kind of missing piece of the jigsaw, especially for the number 9 problem Spurs are having. But we're going to face stiff competition, and he's going to cost a lot of money. money.
And we ain't paying 80 million, I can guarantee you that. We're not. That's pretty much all the Kane money. We're not spending the whole Kane money.
The Kane money is gone.
We're not spending the whole Kane money on Ivan Toney. It ain't happening. No chance. So if that's going to be their price tag, like I reckon we want to pretty much like almost cut that in half. I think we probably want to pay nearer to 50 than we do 80. So honestly, at that price, I don't see it happening. It was interesting to hear Ivan Toney on the Steve Bartlett Diary of a CEO podcast, because he was very open about thinking about like his next move. He was very open he was like very much like Steve Bartlett was asking him like, where do you see your next club being? He was like, yeah, my next move is going to be near the top, like Arsenal or Liverpool or something. And he was like he clearly doesn't see his future at Brentford, which is quite interesting for him to be so open about that. I'm sure Brentford fans probably aren't too happy about him, but you've seen as well, there's been things on social media in the past where he's like F Brentford on when he's out on holiday and stuff. Obviously you can say that it's tongue in cheek, but I would love Ivan Toney at Spurs. I think it'd be a brilliant signing. I think it would really fit that number 9 position. But I think at 27 years of age, I'm not saying he's old, but I just don't see us paying 80 million for him if that's the price. And if anyone else is prepared to pay that money, we're going to be blown out the water with it.
Absolutely. I think Chelsea would be prepared to pay it. Manchester United would probably be prepared to pay it. You're talking about a top quality striker here. Got 20 goals, I think, in the Premier League last season for Brentford. The attributes that he does have, I think, would fit us like a glove. It's just a shame that we don't go and really push the boat out for players that we actually need. So, I mean, if we spent 60 million on Richarlison, why not go and spend 80 million on Toney?
Because it didn't go well.
Huh? Because Richarlison didn't go well.
Yeah.
So any other player that we want to spend big money on won't go well.
I'm sure that's how Levy's thinking.
It's ridiculous, though. But look, if we could bring in an Ivan Toney, that would really set us up. How old is he?
27.
I can't see us spending that much money on a 27-year-old, to be honest. I think
I
know it's not old, but I see like the only way that we're going to spend that kind of money is on a very young player, like 23, 24, 25, where there's a potential sell-on value. At 27, if you sign him up to a 4 or 5 year contract, is there too much of a sell-on value?
No, definitely not.
So there you go. Let's move on and let's talk about Pepe. We brought you the news yesterday that Spurs had have a bid rejected. Today, Mercato Azul are saying that Tottenham Hotspur are not prepared to pay the 75 million release clause for Pepe to sign the player this month. His agent now is on his way to Porto headquarters to speak to those in charge to seek a resolution for the player.
Yeah, I mean, that 75 million was never going to be met by Tottenham, that's for sure. Again, the only way I think we sign him is if we think there's a cheapish deal to be had for a player of his qualities. I think he does fit the squad. I think we could do with a winger with his kind of ability and his attributes. But again, it's going to be very pricey, and we're talking about we do have a lot of wingers in the squad at the moment. We need to get players out, and yes, he would be a good fit, and I would like to sign him. But if they're rejecting 45 million bids, I don't know where we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, the update did say that a 45 million bid was rejected and Spurs are going to come back with another bid. I've been doing a bit more research into this guy because I didn't really know much about him yesterday, and he seems like an absolute one-on-one demon, to be honest. And he looks like he could fit Ange's system really proper. So if we can get a deal done, I think it'd be a really good signing for us. Yeah,
I agree. I don't know if we're going to be... Look, it says we're going to be preparing a new deal. Probably add 1 million. We'll see. I'm not going to get too excited about this prospect just yet.
Next up, let's talk about Ansu Fati of Barcelona, as Marca are reporting that Tottenham want to sign Fati before the end of the current transfer window, and Barcelona are strongly considering his exit, but it's unclear at this stage whether they would want a loan or a permanent sale.
Yeah, I think a loan would make sense just because of his injuries. He's had serious injury problems over the last few years. We know he's a super talented young forward player who's versatile. I'm a big fan of Ansu Fati. It was such a shame when he picked up those injuries when he was flying, and he was really nailing down that spot in the Barca side. Hasn't really been as good as he was maybe before those injuries, but he's clearly still got so much ability. But it's whether he can keep fit and stay on the pitch. I think he did, to be fair to him, did play, I think, about 30 La Liga games last season, but obviously not all of them were from the start. So I think a loan with an option to buy makes sense for Tottenham to kind of see what he's like, if he can fit into Ange, and also if he can stay fit. But I wouldn't be committing big fees for a player like that just yet.
Yeah, I think like a loan with an option to buy would be a good move for Spurs regarding, you know, his history and stuff. Did he play against us in the friendly?
He scored.
He scored, didn't he? Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I'd like to see him through the door, but I think probably when you're comparing like him and Pepe, Pepe's more of a safer bet, but Ansu Fati could be a one with the higher ceiling.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pepe would be... Also, Pepe has a more natural fit into the system. I think Ansu Fati is more of like a wing kind of forward. He's obviously very good at dribbling and he can take people on, but he likes to more get in and around the penalty area. I don't know if he's one who likes to stay really wide like Pepe likes to do from the wing.
I prefer to sign players that are just tailor-made for the system as opposed to try and, we've got too many players trying to fit square pegs in round holes. So I'd prefer, to be honest, just to go for someone that would really suit the system that Ange believes that he'll just fit on each position that we're trying to cover. Let's talk about Eric Dier. Sky Sports now saying that Fulham have made an inquiry into signing Eric Dier from Tottenham, and Tottenham believe he is an option for them ahead of the deadline. Spurs are keen on Adebayo, and a deal involving the exchange between the two players, as well as some money to Spurs, has been explored. So apparently we might make money and add the Adebayo.
That would be all right. Well, so that'll be interesting. I wonder if that's possible. But we know, look, Tosin still wants to go to Monaco, so whether that deal gets resurrected, we'll have to wait and see. I think it would be great for Tottenham if we can get Dier to Fulham in replace of Tosin and get some money. I mean, that would be fantastic for Spurs. I think you couldn't think of a better deal, really. And especially if Tosin can be convinced that, Tottenham can be a good home for him, and then all of a sudden the stars are aligning. But I think there's a lot of moving parts. Dier seems intent on staying at the moment. Whether he wants to go to Fulham or not remains in question. Whether Tosin really wants the Tottenham move remains in question. Then there's the kind of money, which we know Daniel Levy is very stubborn about. So still a lot of moving parts. When it comes to swap deals, they're always quite complicated, I feel.
Yeah, they are always quite complicated. But in terms of this deal on a whole, it kind of makes sense from Dier's perspective. He knows he doesn't have a future at Spurs, hopefully, by now. Gets to stay in London, Premier League club, probably gets a lot of minutes as well.
Pretty good team as well.
Not a bad team at all. So I think that it kind of makes sense. Defence with Joachim, who's at the back for Fulham now?
There's Tim Ream
and
Bassi,
Eric Dier and Bassi. I mean, not the greatest defence, is it? But, I'm welcome to it. And let's finish off talking about Giovani Lo Celso. Javi Miguel saying that Javi Hernandez is desperate for Barcelona to sign Tottenham midfielder Giovani Lo Celso and has pleaded with the board to make a last-ditch attempt to try and agree a deal with Tottenham Hotspur. Would you like to see a kind of deal with Ansu Fati coming this way and Giovani going the other way?
Would I like to see it? I mean, I wouldn't be against it, to be honest. I think, would I be against it? Probably not. I think if Lo Celso is desperate for Barca, if Ansu Fati, to be honest, I'm not convinced Ansu Fati would want to come to Tottenham, to be honest. I think because he's come through the Barca Academy, I think he would probably want to make that work. But if there is a deal to be done and it suits all parties, I'm not against it because I do think Lo Celso probably would rather be at Barcelona. I reckon the situation is Barca only want a loan deal. I reckon they don't want to pay the money for Lo Celso.
A swap loan deal.
Maybe a swap loan deal could be in the... I don't think that's going to be realistic though. But I reckon Barca only want a loan deal, and I reckon Tottenham only want a permanent because there's no point letting him go on loan because he could be part of the team. So I reckon that's the sticking point. So as long as that's the case, I don't see this deal happening.
Yeah, to be honest, at this stage of the window, I'm not really interested in that because I think if we get rid of Lo Celso and bring in Fati, it just leaves us short in the creative centre midfield department, to be honest. And
I think Fati can play number 10 though.
Yeah, but you just don't know if he can play there in the Premier League. I think at least Lo Celso, you probably know that he can come in and do a job for sure. We just don't know that about Ansu Fati just yet, and I wouldn't want to leave us short going at least till January. So I think maybe earlier on in the window I would have done it, where it gives us time to bring in other targets and sell other players so we can bring in other targets. But at this stage of the window, I'd be against it, to be honest.
Fair enough.
And actually, something has just come through from Ange Postecoglou's press conference just before we go. And it's come to light that James Maddison has been involved in training and apparently he's available for selection this weekend.
Well, I'll read the quote. He says, Madders trained today unrestricted. We'll see how he holds up. But at the moment, he will be available. I think it was the incident when Romero got brought down. He had a shot and it was a block tackle. His ankle was a bit sore after that, but the medical team looked after him. There was no real push to have him available. It was down to him. People would have seen him in a moon boot, but it was more precautionary. He has felt good and probably could have trained yesterday. And so he's saying it's likely he's going to be available for this weekend. So that's great news.
Yeah,
not so good news for Lo Celso, but it's good news for Spurs.
Like even if he's not fully fit for this game, that you would expect him for the next game for 100% to be fit. So I would still err on the precaution side with Maddison and potentially still play Giovani this weekend, but in a view for him to definitely play the week after.
Maybe just have Maddison on the bench just in case if things aren't going well.
And we got to remember we got a cup game in midweek as well, so I do expect Maddison not to play that game and Gio to definitely to come in for the Fulham game, but I would still probably err on the side of caution, to be honest, just to make sure he's fully fit, in my opinion.
Fair enough. He said he could have trained yesterday, but apparently they just made a decision to not train. But at the moment, he says he will be available. Yeah, I agree. If he's not 100%, if there's any doubt about it, you put him on the bench, in my opinion.
So happy days. Maddison looks as though the injury isn't as bad as first feared. And that's all we have today. That is your Tottenham update. Thank you everyone for watching today. And just before we go, just a reminder to do check out our brand new website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you get daily blog posts and updates regarding everything Tottenham Hotspur. And do go and click that subscribe button on our brand new channel On The Ball as well, where we cover football from around Europe. But thank you everyone for joining us. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.